Mr. Willis, great to have your company for another week.
And first up, it's been a very tense couple of days in the media world as the once dominant Channel 9 fought for its survival this week in the face of massive debts.
Yes, Nine had racked up a debt of $3.2 billion. Most of that was just Carl Stefanovic's bar tab at the last Christmas party, but still a lot.
I cannot understand how Nine let themselves get into this position. I mean, they've got that financial genius Ross Greenwood working for them.
Yeah, although when you say genius, Craig...
I feel so broke, it feels so bad.
I mean, is that the guy that you'd go to your financial advice for? I don't know.
Amid these stressful negotiations, Channel 9 boss David Gyngell had some good news today with the birth of his first child. He doesn't actually want the child, he just needed the baby bonus to help pay off the network's debts.
And I have to say, it'd be a huge loss to the nation if Channel 9 ever went under.
Oh, absolutely. It would be another body blow to quality journalism in this country.
Struggling single dad Jason Bromley has an old lawnmower that doesn't work and he can't afford a new one.
These Vegemite cheesy bites, they're normally $4.98. We're selling them for 99 cents. Dig in.
Oh, this is cheesy.
Sure is.
Qantas is going to charge me excess baggage going back home. Just with my gut.
How did Four Corners miss that stuff?
Unbelievable.
Late today, the network was finally offered a lifeline by its creditors in exchange for three major conditions to forgive the debt. One, Joel Madden only gets one toothpick per season of The Voice. Hamish and Andy's next gap year has to be in Adelaide. And Kerry Packer's actual corpse will be dug up to play Packer in all future Paco biopics.
Very good. It'd be very good.
To politics, and the fallout continues over a defamatory joke told at a union dinner last week. Labor MPs say they fled the event in disgust, but I think there may have been another reason why they left so quickly.
Well, I was the guest speaker.
I'm amazed anyone was left in the room, to be honest. Now, the Prime Minister, of course, says that she left the event well before the joke was told, and that's because her minders got a tip-off, and her security team, they got her out of that room so quick. Look at that. They were not mucking around.
Taking no chances. Elsewhere, Gillard had a win of sorts this week with the announcement today by the Macquarie Dictionary that they're redefining misogyny as entrenched prejudice against women.
And in a further win, Craig Thompson successfully lobbied to have prostitution redefined as hospital infrastructure.
Now, escaping the sexism debate, the PM took off to the relative progressiveness of Afghanistan, where she took out some time to dine with the Aussie troops and also to judge a Peter Garrett lookalike contest.
From there, it was then off to India, where the wheels really started to fall off the tour. Do you reckon, can we really trust Gillard to have this nation's best interests at heart when during a visit to an Indian cricket camp, she failed to notice that they're training the next generation of chuckers? Not once, not twice, three times, Gillard turned her back on a very suspicious bowling action.
And Tony Abbott was also under fire this week after his visit to Indonesia to meet the man with the world's longest Twitter handle, @President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono.
Yes, yeah. Now, look, Abbott, of course, copped some heat for not raising the coalition's boat towback policy with the Indonesian president, and Yudhoyono himself seemed a bit puzzled by Abbott's approach.
Kami saling mempertukarkan visi, pikiran-pikiran utama.
Honest mistake. I think some Psy fans in tonight. I think we're the only show that Psy's not appearing on at Australian TV this week. Now, following the talks, Abbott was keen to get home quickly and he took advantage of a great new Jetstar offer. For just $20, they'll fly you from Jakarta to Sydney, but for that price, they won't actually land, so you have to make your own arrangements.
Now, that's obviously the amazing footage of the Austrian daredevil. They're unbelievable pictures, but what's equally compelling is what he said just before he launched.
This is one small step for man, one holy fucking shit! Oh, fuck! Fuck, shit! Oh, Jesus! I can't feel my testicles! Holy shit! Red Bull aren't paying me nearly enough to put up with this bullshit! Fuck me! Oh no, I left my phone back up in the capsule! Fuck!
Great effort. Extraordinary, but... You know, incredibly, despite those heroics, Felix Baumgartner failed to get the world record for the world's longest freefall. But it wasn't all bad news. A world record was broken this week for the world's shortest freefall.
Yes, now, elsewhere this week...
Sorry, Julia.
On a more serious note, though, the shooting of a 14-year-old girl by the Taliban raises some profoundly disturbing...
Good evening. We interrupt the hamster wheel to bring you unconfirmed reports of a controversial joke that's been uttered at an ALP political dinner. Andrew, what's the latest?
It's absolute bedlam here as Labor MPs are racing to flee the building before any more of the joke could be told.
I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you off there because we're joined already by a Liberal Party opportunist. Did you hear the joke?
No, but I'm disgusted by it. Anyone who was at that dinner should resign immediately.
With me now are three people who did hear the joke. What took you so long to condemn it?
He only told the joke 5 minutes ago.
So for 5 minutes you approved of it?
No,
And did you make any attempt to personally kill the person who told the joke?
No.
And what about you? Were you disgusted?
I only heard half the joke. Only half of me was disgusted.
I still think half of him should resign.
And you, on the end, you claim you were so disgusted you left even before the joke was told.
Absolutely. I tried to leave earlier, but I was sat next to Joe Hockey. It was very hard to get out.
Was that a fat joke? Did you just make an offensive fat joke?
Sorry, no, I didn't hear it. Not even looking at it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
If anyone asks, I was never here.
Airlines will soon be named and shamed.
Pubs and clubs should be named and shamed.
Name and shame power companies.
Named and shamed in Queensland.
The nation's biggest litter bugs are being named and shamed.
The naughty poochers getting named and shamed.
Now to our ongoing campaign to name and shame those notorious gypsy tradies.
Kevin Michael Rudd. In the latest shock move of his campaign to regain the Prime Ministership, Mr Rudd passed away today. He died doing what he loved, self-promoting. Doing what he loved, leaking. What he loved, himself. From his earliest days in rural Queensland, Kevin Rudd excelled.
It was all there. Uncommon intelligence, determination, and a prodigious ability to alienate people. Annoying little shit he was.
At university, Rudd studied and became fluent in Mandarin.
但是在小事上面，他很喜欢没完没了地问。
Many thought him more fluent in Chinese than English.
Detailed programmatic specificity.
Even Rudd found his use of English frustrating.
This fucking language. He just complicates it.
When Rudd entered Parliament, he immediately attracted attention and quickly rose to become opposition leader. Labor's caucus concluded he was nicer than Kim Beazley and saner than Mark Latham. In each case, they were wrong. When he won the 2007 election, hopes for a long and successful Rudd Prime Ministership were high, until his acceptance speech.
You can have a strong cup of tea if you want.
Early in his term, Rudd's PM approval rating soared, especially after his apology to the stolen generation.
And he wrote that speech himself. Although in the first draft he did call it the Indigenous-orientated intergenerational multifactorial apologification. It needed an edit.
But behind the scenes, Prime Minister Rudd was infamous for a volcanic temper and treating staff badly.
No one should have to experience what he did to us. He would make us sit there for hours while he read out his essays from the monthly.
Rudd's Prime Ministership notched up many policy wins and many more frequent flyer miles. Rudd returned briefly to Australia, only to be ousted as PM during his first term.
Kevin had alienated so much of the caucus, he spent that night with his last remaining friend, a play school host. Luckily, Reece was used to dealing with completely stuffed eggheads.
Rudd's farewell press conference lasted over half his prime ministership.
Proud of the fact. I'm proud of the fact. Proud of the fact. I'm really proud of the fact.
Rudd never came to terms with losing the top job. His public utterances became increasingly bizarre.
I sing like a cow.
The flaws which ruined his prime ministership continued to plague him in later life.
A good Secretary-General had lost his way.
A good cabbie had lost his way.
A good big issue seller had lost his way.
The wider reaction to Mr Rudd's death has been mixed.
Wow. He's a jackass.
A man of unspeakable evil.
I welcome the death.
Shit happens. According to unnamed sources presumed to be Mr Rudd himself, his last words were, "I've got a zip." Were ditch the witch. I'm feeling a bit rat-fucked. Fair suck of the life support. Kevin Rudd will be buried in Brisbane this week in a leak-proof coffin, and only dug up if the Labor Party is really, really desperate.
All right, we're going to have a look now at how to report from the field. Now, we all know newsreaders have a charmed life, don't they? Lounging about in air-conditioned studios, exchanging witty banter and sparkling repartee.
Hey, it's our plan for today.
And they won't.
That's good. Hey, I'll call you on the weekend, maybe.
No, don't.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Good on you.
You can, though.
I'll call Bill.
With your wife.
I'm popular.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 3 Oscar Wildes.
Well, life's peachy for them, but the hard work has to be done by the reporters out in the field. And I mean hard work.
You've got Mick Malthouse making comments in the media every day because he's on so many different media. That might be all we've got time for.
Yeah, it's not just air horns, you know. These reporters, they have all this complicated equipment. I mean, it's really hard to remember, isn't it? What is a microphone for?
Organisers are hoping there'll be about 400,000 people come through the gate here over the next 10 days.
We shouldn't tease. It is a hard job. On top of that, these guys have got to travel around everywhere, wherever the story's breaking. It could be happening in an airport. It might be happening underwater.
And here it could stay for years.
Or it might be happening in the boot of a car.
Is this an option? Getting smuggled out in the trunk of a diplomatic car? A former British diplomat says the car would be considered Ecuadorian domain.
Oh, God, these reporters in boots. I mean, they really get in the way of your shopping.
What if the story you're doing doesn't require you to go to a location at all?
Oh, well, but that's impossible. No, I mean, there's always a location. You just have to be creative, Chaz. Look, take 10 News, right? When they wanted to do a cross about Ian Thorpe's new book. Now, they couldn't very well do a cross from a book or from an Ian Thorpe, so they got creative.
Jacqueline Maddock is outside a Sydney Aquatic Centre named in his honour.
Good evening, Matt. Well, Ian Thorpe is arguably one of the most celebrated...
Ian Thorpe Aquatic Centre! That's brilliantly tenuous!
Isn't it? All right, well, to find out just how tenuous that was, we cross now to Julian Morrow at the Longbow Archery Centre. Julian, was it a long bow?
Yes.
Well, just to confirm that, we're joined now by Chris Taylor outside the Clutching at Straws Stadium. Chris, have we milked this joke enough?
Yes, I think you have.
OK, well, just to confirm that, we cross now to Craig Rucastle, who's in a vat of milk. Craig?
This is a career low for me. I hosted balls...
Well, I seem to have lost Craig there, but another hurdle for a field reporter is you often have to memorise a very large script.
Oh, well, you don't really need to memorise it. I mean, if you mess it up a little, no one will notice.
Due to natural disasters in New Zealand, Christchurch and Japan, and pilots are now saying how much more money Qantas chooses to lose is up to its management.
Thank you, Andrew. Denny at Sydney Airport.
Did you catch that look he gave at the end there? That is not the look of a man satisfied with a job well done.
But that's his problem right there. You see, when something goes awry, you don't draw attention to it by wincing. You just ignore it and it will go away.
I agree. Learn from this exemplary display by Jessica Rich.
Let's go straight to Jessica Rich, who's in King's Cross tonight.
OK, now, Jessica senses something slightly amiss. There seems to be one extra reporter on the scene, but she forges on. Maybe he'll just go away. Oh, look, that's better. She's taken a step away. He'll never find her there. And, somehow he's tracked her down. What a sleuth.
It was brilliantly handled, you must admit. No one would have realised that cross was anything but perfect.
Well, clearly there's a lot you've got to cope with when you're at the scene of an unfolding news event, but you have to be there because that's the only way you can find out the real story.
Oh, that's so true. For instance, when everyone else had been waiting for months for Julian Assange to finally make a public appearance, reporter Alex Forrest, she didn't just lounge around in some studio. She went all the way to the Ecuadorian embassy in London so she could talk over the top of him.
So after 2 months of virtual silence, Julian Assange finally appears to the world. But he knows that as things stand at the moment, one false move and he'll face immediate arrest.
You see, no one wants to hear what the world's most famous fugitive has to say. What we want to hear is what Alex Forrest has to say.
If anything, there wasn't enough Alex Forrest for me. I want to see this at Julian Assange's next rare appearance.
As things stand,
now that is how you cover the news, by literally covering it.
Stuff Julian Assange. Let's face it, no one wants to watch some autistic albino anyway. But the Olympics is true. The Olympics, on the other hand, everyone wanted a piece of them. But only Channel 9 had the rights.
Well, and poor old ABC became so desperate for Olympics footage they resorted to using that Lego man.
Oh, Michael Rowland.
No, a real Lego man. They reenacted races completely with Legos. But Nine had unlimited access to the Olympic events. The only problem is they put Peter Stefanovic in front of them. Here, and even declaring losses before the match was over.
The team had hoped this would be a night for history. Sadly, they'll have to wait another 4 years for that first prize win.
Bravo, Peter. That's exactly what journalism needs more of.
The hamster wheel had hoped their news-based humour would work, but sadly, this world just doesn't need an unfunny, poorly researched version of Media Watch. Oi, get out of my report.
I'm not here to be a judge and jury. I'd have to grow a lot more hair and it'd have to be curly.
As the ABC celebrates its 80th anniversary, the hamster wheel looks back on 100 years of auntie.
Rounds it up to the nearest century.
For Australians, both young and old, the ABC's always been the home of entertainment. It gave a start to performers like Ronnie Els, whose unique vaudeville style proved less effective when he moved to Four Corners.
So how many people have died here in Rhodesia?
In the 1960s, quiz shows were all the rage, and none more so than the hugely popular Pontiac Potato Hour.
Which red-skinned potato variety is found in Australia, Canada and America?
The Pontiac.
Correct. In the USA, the Dakota Chief potato is also known as the...
Pontiac?
Correct. Which potato variety was first introduced to Australia in 1940? I wonder if our celebrity knows.
It's the Pontiac.
In the 1970s, Alvin Purple and Number 96 had created a new permissive air, reflected in the ABC's long-running game show, Celebrity Cheeks.
Who do you think it is? Noel Ferrier, Yvonne Goolagong, or Father Brendan O'Doherty?
I think it might be Noel Ferrier.
Well, let's reveal the cheeks.
Cooking shows, too, have long been a staple of the ABC diet. From the controversial Maggie McNeese, best known for her love of red wine, and for harder drugs, too.
Mix that for about 30 seconds, or just until the lumps are out.
To the outback bush tucker of the gourmet mechanic.
Whether you're smoking a kipper, flattening a piece of veal, or using a car aerial to assemble a crock-a-bush.
In the 80s, the programme For Love or Money gave people an opportunity to bring in their old relatives to be professionally evaluated.
Look, I mean, she's lost most of her hearing and she emits a rather unpleasant odour. I'm afraid she won't fetch a very high price at all.
Jesus loves me.
Christian programming was also quite prevalent, but in the interests of balance, Auntie also had to screen programmes for the atheist market.
There's nothing out there, it's all just lies. Nan's going nowhere when she dies.
A tradition of excellence that continues to this day as the ABC celebrates 100 years of Auntie.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh, dang. Let me Google myself.
Women! Every man wants to understand them.
He's learnt to not just respect women, but to, now listen up, understand them. And that requires listening.
G-A-Y.
Well, almost every man wants to understand them.
It's completely irrelevant to the concerns of Australian women.
I love
and that is, if you're going to...
I like the Dowager Duchess too. I think she's sterling.
Maggie Smith is sensational.
But sometimes women are reluctant to say what they're thinking.
This dad is determined to barbecue no matter what.
Oh, magnificent.
Good on you, Dad.
I'd rather be there than inside with the women.
Although sometimes you can guess what they're thinking.
Now, you may think a group of 5 men don't know much about women.
You don't know much about women.
But you haven't seen our research team.
I found a woman on Google.
Even better, we learnt about women by watching the news.
Once, the news was dominated by crusty old men.
A bad haircut is every woman's worst nightmare.
But today, sexism is over. And those old men have been replaced by younger, fresher faces.
Well, a bad haircut is every woman's worst nightmare.
Today's feminist newsreaders have women's best interests at heart.
Women are still most worried about how they look. Where is that pressure coming from?
Good question, Ron. Let's ask your colleagues in the media.
According to a new survey, bad makeup could cost ladies a job. The worst beauty blunders have been revealed.
Let's look at the worst beauty blunders, besides Koshi.
Red lipstick means you're power crazy.
Smudged mascara means you're a party animal.
No mascara means you're an emotional wreck.
And if you're absolutely perfect...
Even being 100% immaculate has its drawbacks because it shows you're after the boss's job.
Wow, that is a lot of pressure. But at least women aren't humiliated on national TV. Often.
Tonight, the stinging whisper campaign against Olympic champ Liesl Jones.
It's these pictures which have sparked a national debate.
Now, I don't care what people say. In the photograph, she looks gross.
But we also found that the media covers substantial news about women too.
Like on the day the long-awaited report on sexism in the military was released. Channel 7 went big on this one.
The police force's newest recruits, Ava, Alpha, Autumn.
Oh, they didn't cover the report, but they showed these cute puppies instead.
How about Channel 9?
7 English Springer Spaniel pups.
Oh, the puppies again.
But Sky News is serious, so they showed a full quote from the Sex Discrimination Commissioner herself, proving that she wouldn't be silenced.
Sexual harassment and abuse exists today in the ADF. It ruins lives. It divides teams and damages operational.
Well, half a quote before cutting to Martin Ferguson. Thankfully, an apology was immediately offered.
I apologise for not using my half a quote to talk about police puppies, but I felt it was important.
Yeah, enough of her. But there is one way for women to guarantee they'll get plenty of news coverage.
On the 2nd of July, 2 knife-point robberies were captured on CCTV. This one received just 14 seconds of news coverage over the following week. But for some reason, this one...
Police are hunting a buxom bandit.
The busty blonde, better known as the buxom bandit.
What a bust, the buxom bandit.
Received 43 minutes of coverage.
Deliberately showing off her breasts as a weapon of mass distraction.
You think you'll remember her face?
It's a very clear shot of her face and some of her assets.
That appeared to have been written by the makers of the Carry On movies.
Busting into a Gold Coast survey.
The woman busted in.
Will be enough for police to bust the pairs soon.
And matron, take them away.
At least 10 News was respectful enough to blur out the inappropriate part of the image, her face. Even after the breasts had fled the scene, Alison Ariotti stood there for 5 hours. That's 2.5 hours per breast. Blanket coverage of tits and ass. What would the iconic 70s feminists have to say about that?
You've got a big ass, Julia. Just get it.
Not even I would say that. I'm a straw man.
Hang on. Do you guys seriously think the biggest sexists in the media today are iconic feminists?
Not quite.
Ooh, she is a monster there.
Well, you know...
She is a monster. She's huge, isn't she?
And by you saying that and saying she's a monster, what are you doing for the average woman at home? How are you helping their self-esteem?
I'm not helping them at all. I don't care about the average woman at home, do I?
And you can have a pretty good guess what Catherine Robinson's thinking.
It's probably what lots of women think about the media.
Good evening. Making news this hour. Homeowners have welcomed the decision today by the Reserve Bank to lower the official interest rate. To discuss the rate drop, I'm joined now live by the ABC's chief location reporter.
Yes, thank you. The Reserve Bank met this morning and dropped interest rates by 25 basis points.
And how have the banks reacted to this?
Well, the decision now puts pressure on the banks to pass on the rate cut to homeowners.
And the response from Canberra?
Well, the cut comes despite the government announcing spending increases for hospitals, schools and the environment. The retailers say they hope the decision of the Reserve Bank will increase sales.
And do you expect this will affect our terms of trade with China?
No.
Right, and is there any sign we can expect another rate cut next month?
Well, experts warn inflation in March will ruin the reserves. Forecast.
Will ruin the reserves what, sorry?
The reserves fucking forecast.
Our chief location reporter there. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
They've discovered a new particle that's fundamental to our world. Without it, none of us would exist. It permeates every corner of the universe, interacting with all the things that have mass. It permeates every corner of the universe.
Now, just before we go tonight, a little bit of ABC housekeeping. Some viewers may remember the excellent ABC feedback program Backchat. It was hosted by Tim Bowden. Here's a little reminder.
Susan Daniels of Geraldton, Western Australia, weighs in first.
I would like to protest at the number and degeneracy of programs for youth. That ill-used word beloved of social engineers these days.
It was absolutely delightful stuff, hugely missed, which is why we are thrilled to read this week that Tim Bowden is actually coming back to the ABC with an all-new, rebooted Backchat.
You heard it here first. So finally we'll get a feedback show to reflect the modern age of social media.
Welcome to Backchat. And we start this week with At the Movies, where host David Stratton has yet again ruffled feathers, this time reviewing the new Merchant Ivory film. At 666 Bulldog said,
Stratton licks balls.
And he helpfully started the hashtag #OtherThingsStrattonLicks. And thank you everyone for your feedback, especially at GoTigers73, who welcomed my return to television with...
Fuck off, Bowden. I thought you were dead.
Well, not yet, but thank you anyway. And it's great to be back.